Hello, thank you for watching today. My name's Sarah and my channel is called Your True Shelf, and today I'm doing a July at the moment video where I'm going to be talking about the things that I've been reading, watching, listening to, etc. Did I say watching? I think I said watching. So I will start by saying finally today it's cooled down. Like the last 3 or 4 days we've had 35-degree heat, which has been absolutely hideous. And now today, early 20s with a bit of rain, absolutely lovely. So I'm really thankful for that. So the things that I have been watching. So the first thing, I'm probably a little bit behind. Everyone else has probably already watched this, but me and Sam started watching Killing Eve, which is a drama series which is about a female sort of assassin and about a secret intelligence group who are trying to catch her, and it's really good, really exciting. One of the main characters is played by Sandra Oh, who I really love because I loved watching Grey's Anatomy and she is one of the main characters in that. So we've been really enjoying that. It's been quite nice to have something to watch in the evenings because we haven't watched a series together since Peaky Blinders, I don't think, which is coming back soon, so I'm very excited. And obviously that does cut into my reading time. That's the only annoying thing, because I do want to watch Killing Eve, but I also want to read, so yeah, I have to balance the two. The other two TV programmes which I started watching this week, there's a new series of Who Do You Think You Are, which I really love, and that was Daniel Radcliffe was the first episode, so I've started watching that. Started watching it 2 nights ago, and then my daughter woke up and came downstairs, so that was the end of that, but I will carry on watching that. And finally, University Challenge is back. I've loved watching that for years. People might think that's a bit sad, but I don't care. I love watching it. I love trying to get as many points as I can. Not that I ever get that many points. Yeah, so I just really like watching that, and it's perfect length for me. 25 minutes is ideal size time for me. So that's what I've been watching on TV. The books that I am reading at the moment, so obviously I'll do a wrap up with all the books that I read in July, but what I have currently got on the go, so I've got 2 actual physical books, 1 fiction, 1 non-fiction, and 1 audio book. So if I start with the fiction, I have got Eleanor and Park by Rowell, which is a book that I saw and picked up in the library. I've already renewed it twice because I've only just started reading it. I am 72 pages in, it's about a quarter of the way through, and this is a book about Eleanor and Park, funnily enough, who are 2 children. It's set in, or 2 teenagers, sorry. It's set in the 1980s. There's a lot of sort of pop culture references in there, and basically Eleanor is living in a tiny house with her mum, her stepdad, who is a horrible abusive man, and her 4 little siblings, and she shares a bedroom with all of them. So she has a very difficult life. She doesn't even have a toothbrush, and her mum is being beaten by this horrible stepdad, and she's just joined the school. She's having a really hard time, and she sits next to Park on the bus. Park doesn't really want to be friends with her initially, and then they start sort of realising they've got some things in common, and their friendship has just started building, and so far it's really touching and concerning, and I'm really enjoying it. So that's that one. And then the other book I'm reading is a non-fiction book, which is Sacred Contracts by Cameron and Myss. So I started this book in 2015, or 2016, sorry, and I got about 180 pages in, and then there was a section where you had to write 12 mini essays, and I wrote all those, but it took me ages, and then by the time I'd finished writing them, I couldn't remember what I'd read because so much time had passed, and so I went back to the beginning again. So I'm now on page 250, so I'm over halfway through because there's a massive appendix section at the back. This is basically difficult to describe. It's about the idea that we have what we call like a sacred contract, or kind of like a mission that we agreed to work on during this lifetime while we are on planet Earth this time around, and it's about exploring our sacred contracts and about archetypes and exploring the archetypes that we have, and also looking at the chakras as well, which are kind of like energy systems spread throughout the body, and about how all three can be interacted and used together to kind of get the most out of our time here on earth. So it's really quite difficult to describe. It's a very difficult book. I'm having to read it in sections because I have to think about it before I move on to the next section, and I think there's some more written exercises coming up, so this isn't an easy book. I definitely wouldn't say it's a book for somebody who's kind of just setting out on this path, but it's still a really interesting book and I am getting a lot out of it. And then thirdly, I'm listening to A Perfectly Good Man on audio, which is by Gale, and it's bloody amazing. So sometimes audiobooks take me months because my commute to work is only 10 minutes each way. This I'm listening to at every opportunity. It's about a man called Barnaby Johnson, and he is a priest, and it's about his wife and his children and one of his parishioners, and it jumps about in time. So it will say like Barnaby age 21, and then it'll be Barnaby age 54, and then it will be his son Jim age 12, and it will kind of jump around. So it is I'm kind of about 2/3 of the way through. I have got the book as well, and I've been tempted a couple of times to look back in the book and think, how old was this person last time? Because that's the only thing. If you're listening to an audio, you obviously can't keep flicking back through and thinking, how old were they last time we saw them? So I'm hoping it's kind of coming together, and I'm hoping by the time I get to the end it will have really kind of pulled all the strands together. But I'm really loving it. The narrator's great, and yeah, I really love Gale's work. So next things, films. So I'm only going to talk about a couple of the films I've watched this month because I watched quite a lot of films. So the first thing I did was I went to an outdoor cinema screening of Bohemian Rhapsody with one of my friends, and this was really lovely. It was in Plantation Gardens in Norwich, which is previously unknown about hidden underground garden, and they'd lit it up with all these lovely sort of fairy lights everywhere. They had a big screen, there was like a barbecue there was a bar, it was so lovely. And Bohemian Rhapsody is one of the best films I've seen this year, definitely absolutely fantastic, very emotional. I had seen it once before. The first time I saw it I just wanted to howl my eyes out at the end. This time round I held it together, I guess because I knew how the film was going to be, but it was absolutely fantastic. The last film I saw at the cinema was Yesterday, which is the film about the Beatles, and what would happen if the world changed and nobody had heard of the Beatles apart from a handful of people. That was a really lovely kind of light-hearted, fun, entertaining film. And then the other two that I wanted to mention were ones that I watched on Netflix. One of them is called Given. This was fantastic. It's a documentary about a family of a mum, a dad, a son and a baby. And the parents are award-winning surfers, and they're basically living a nomadic lifestyle. So they're travelling just from place to place, and they're surfing, and they're living in a kind of sort of organic hippie kind of lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle I dream of. And yeah, it's really really beautiful. The cinematography is absolutely lovely. It's so interesting to see the way of life, especially with children. So a lot of the time when you watch films like that, it's kind of adults on their own, and watching how they manage having children and a baby is really quite interesting. And I've gone on to follow them on Instagram, social media. They've now got a third child, and I just find them an absolutely fascinating family, and I'd highly recommend that one. And the last one I wanted to mention is a film called Someone Great, which I just loved it. It's basically about three girls who were at university together, who are best friends, and one of them has just broken up with her long-term boyfriend, and it's about how they kind of help her get over it, and they go out on this kind of night out, and one of them's about to move to the other side of America for her job, and they have these kind of lovely memories, and it kind of cuts back and forward in time to when they're at uni, and it just totally took me back to my early uni days when I was kind of just going out and having a great time with my friends, and it was such a gorgeous film, and I'd absolutely highly recommend that one. So last two bits. So I wanted to just talk about the music that I've been listening to. So I have a Spotify playlist with about 2,000 songs on, and I usually just have that on shuffle, but sometimes I want to listen to an album. So this month I've been listening to the Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack a lot because I love Queen, and obviously I wanted to kind of get in the mood to watch the outdoor cinema. I discovered this song. Sometimes when I'm watching something, there's a song that will come on that I really like, and I just use Shazam to find out what the song is and then add it through that to my Spotify playlist. And there's a song called K by a band called Cigarettes After Sex, which I'd never heard of before, and that's a really cool song. I've been really enjoying that one. And then I've been listening to my brother's album. So my brother is my brother's a singer-songwriter. He's a very talented musician, and he teaches guitar, and he is in a band with one of his friends, Jay, and it's called the Baker Davis Band, and they have released an album on Spotify and iTunes called Sirens. I'll put a link to that down in the comments in case you want to check it out. And it's like singer-songwriter, acoustic guitar and singing basically. And so I've been listening to that. I'm really enjoying it as well. Super proud of my brother. And then the last section is podcasts. So I haven't listened to a lot of podcasts because I have been watching YouTube and listening to my audiobook, and I could happily listen to all my podcasts, keep up to date with them all, and all the YouTube, but I just literally don't have the hours in the day to do that. So the podcast which I want to focus on next is Happy Place, which is Fearne Cotton's podcast, which I really love. I used to listen to it a lot, and especially when I was having some really difficult times last year, that was really helpful to me. And I saw that Elizabeth Gilbert is on her latest episode, and I love Elizabeth Gilbert, and I can't wait to hear that. And then I look back through who I've missed recently, and there's some great guests on there, so I really want to get back into listening to Happy Place, because I think that's a realistic thing, as I subscribe to a lot of podcasts and I just don't have time to keep up with them all. So that is my plan. So tell me what you've been watching, listening to, reading, etc. this month, any recommendations that you want to give me, and let me know if anything that I've mentioned is something that you think you'll check out. And I hope you have a lovely week in this not nice cooler weather, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.